I am now in my work program for accounts receivable, and again, we're still in the planning stage. Now, at the top here in the freeze, you not only see the materiality, but you also see the balances for accounts receivable. So I think that's quite important to know. Then if we go down here, the first thing that's right at the top of this work program is a mini risk report. And the mini risk report shows me all the risks that are linked to accounts receivable. So when we identified the risk, we actually imported 3 risks, but only this one, downturn in the economy, was linked to accounts receivable. And that's why this shows up as a reminder in the audit program, but also we can do something, and I will show you that later on. We can link procedures to this risk. Then if we scroll further, we have the detailed audit response table. That's the same as what I showed you in the other work programs. And here we have the actual audit procedures. Now, some procedures are deleted by the optimizer. I'm not going to go into too much detail there. Well, maybe let me switch that on. Because there's a difference between a procedure that's deleted by optimizer. It clearly states it's deleted by optimizer, and it gives you the reason why. So we find it very important that you get this feedback from the software, that it's not a black box, and that you feel you can rely on all those automation. If I now delete something as a user, do a right click and delete this procedure, yes, you will see a clear difference that it now says this is deleted by this person at this date. So for a reviewer that wants to review the deleted procedures, this is a big difference. This is something that's automated based on a pre-set up rule. This is a professional judgment call of the actual user. This procedure was not really relevant. Okay, so I find that quite important to mention. Now, deleting procedures, of course, is if something is a low risk, you will probably only do basic procedures, not do that much work. But in this example, we do have a risk, and yeah, sorry, this is easier. So I can now also insert new procedures. So I can insert procedures from the content library, show you that in the property, plant and equipment work program. I can also insert a manual procedure. And for that, I'd use this option, insert new procedure. So with this, I just get an empty line, and I can just now go in and say this is a specific procedure for this client. Just type whatever I want. Let's say this is Dutch. And as you can see, when I finalize or when I save my audit program, this shows up exactly the same as all the other procedures. So when you hand over your work program to the audit team so that they can perform the work, it will actually show as a regular procedure. No difference there. Now, what I think is very important is that we've identified a risk. So we now want to show in our audit documentation the procedures that we're doing to deal with this risk. So by doing a right click, I can also go to my option link risks to a procedure. I only have one risk in this engagement, in my receivables. So I'm just gonna select that one, downturn in the economy. And what it shows me here at the right hand side of the screen that this procedure is now linked to my risk, downturn in the economy. And I think this is a very common situation. You identify a specific risk, a risk really specific for this client, and your default procedures might not fully address that risk. So you tailor your work program, you create your specific procedures, and then link those to the risk. This is one way to do it. I could also scroll back up to my risk, expand my risk in this risk dialog, and now choose this option here to link procedures to the risk. So that's the other way around, whatever you prefer. The end result will be the same, that all the linked procedures will show up here in my risk details. So it says 130.101, which is the audit program here for my accounts receivable. and at the same time the risk will be shown next to those procedures, clearly indicating why this procedure is relevant in this engagement. Okay, now there's one final thing that I would like to show here. This is more of a review option. If let's say I'm a partner or maybe a manager, and I want to see the changes that have been made on this default work program, I can choose to, first of all, review the deleted procedures. I think that's very critical. So you should do that, or you would do that anyway. But I can now also highlight my inserted procedures. And if I then scroll to the bottom, I can see, oh, this is a procedure that has been added on the engagement level. That's probably a more relevant procedure to look at. In the same way, I can also highlight my edited procedures. It's the same process. Okay, I'm switching that off. So out of the box, our template has been designed that you would have a default work program, let's say 15 procedures. If the risk is high, that might go up to 20 procedures, and you would add more manual procedures yourself at the engagement level. If the risk is low, that 15 procedures might go down to, I don't know, 5, 7, 9 procedures, either through the optimizer, and in addition, the tailoring that you do as the planner for this engagement by manually deleting procedures. That's how we designed our template to work out of the box. I know that there's a group of audit firms that prefer to work with what they call, or what I hear frequently, a blank sheet approach, which is your default work program would be empty, and then you would just only select the work, the procedures that are relevant and that are dealing with a risk. So if there's not a risk, there's no procedure that you have to perform. It's quite easy to configure the template in a way to work in that way. That can be done as well. It's probably better to get in touch with us, and then we'll walk you through how to do that. So this is how it works out of the box, but it's extremely flexible. I won't go into all the customization options, but you can really change it to how you want to do your audits and what matches with your firm methodology. Okay, so finally, I've now tailored my audit program. I want to hand it over to my audit team. I'm happy with it. The final thing that I need to do is lock my audit program for procedure customizations. So it brings up this dialog. I have two options. I can lock all my procedure customizations, or I can only lock my existing procedure customizations, which will still allow the team members to insert new procedures if they want to. So I just have to set a password here. This is tied into the working paper security if you want to use it that way. But now by clicking OK, the icon here indicates that it's locked, and if I now go into a procedure and I try to delete it, I actually cannot do it, or I cannot even modify this procedure anymore. So it's now a closed work program. This is the end of my planning stage, and I pass it on to my audit team to now go and complete the audit program.